Let it be interactive. If there is any doubt, you can ask. If I am boring also, you can let me know. I have made it as interesting as possible.
Next one.
So this child, this video which you are going to see now, he was presenting in a spell bee. He was about to enter into the stage and the word will be told and he will tell the spelling of the word. It's called as spell bee. Most of the mothers will be knowing. Competition. So once he is called and he was about to tell the spelling, he develops a dizziness and becomes unconscious, falls down. And then he gets up, completes his spelling and goes away. So you know the onset was sudden. It can mimic shisha. Anybody who is seeing this video or the event when it is communicated to you, you can call it as a generalized shisha, or as Sir was telling, an atonic epilepsy, and start the child on an anticonvulsant and so on, go in that line. But when you take the whole history, the scenario, the stage, he was called for the stress, you ask a question, some difficult, hard word which nobody knows, some tough word they will ask. And this poor child has to give the spelling. It's horrible. Some difficult word, and it's a competition. You imagine the emotional stress. That is triggering out. That is the setting for this year. When I give the history in between, he has fallen down, he has become unconscious, it is difficult for you to make a diagnosis. When I give the entire history, the stage, he got into the stage, he was asked a difficult word. Naturally, they are not going to ask the spelling for free. They may ask some rare, unknown medical term. And then see, he is having a wide look and then he falls down. And then he gets, I think the volume, okay, no problem. There's an audio also, he gets up, he manages and he answers the question and he goes on. So this is what is called as a vasovagal syncope. This is because of hypoperfusion, a generalized hypoperfusion of the brain due to stagnation of blood in the calf muscles and ineffective vasomotor reflexes. So there is decreased perfusion to the brain, resulting in loss of awareness and loss of postural control. And then child falls. There is a brief LOC, but if the premonitory symptom is important, the standing, the emotional stress, that is a trigger for this vasomotor loss, vasomotor reflex loss. And this can be confirmed by a tilt table. We have to measure blood pressure in the line of spine standing, and in the tilting table and document the difference in the systolic values. And if you make a diagnosis of seizure, the child will be put on anticonvulsants. I have a brief LOC fall, and sometimes when this hypoperfusion becomes prolonged, luckily this fellow recovered. If it was prolonged, they can go in for a hypoxic chronic posturing and jerking also, which can even more mimic a seizure. Next slide. So how to differentiate the conditions which mimic seizure from the actual seizure or the epilepsy? So one clue is using the age, which age the event has happened. So if you take infancy, sleep myoclonus is a very common mimicker. Breath holding spell, the child cries, stops breathing, becomes blue. There are two types, cyanotic and paralytic, you will be knowing that. And within paroxysmal positional breath, spinning, abnormal behavior changes during that time. And the child with parasomnia, sleep disorders can be epilepsy. Just keep in mind. And in the adolescence, syncope, as I told you, this is an adolescent child. It is very common, vasovagal, prolonged standing in a state. And epilepsy is common in all the age groups. Next slide. So about childhood seizures, it's an electrophysiological syndrome caused by abnormal hypersynchronous discharge of a group of neurons in the central nervous system. So demonstration of the abnormal electrical activity is important. So this can be done by the electroencephalogram. But most of the time, the electroencephalogram, we can't have it simultaneously. So the event we are seeing, nice. We should have a correlation between the clinical event and the electrical event having in the brain. So that clinches the diagnosis of epilepsy. That is, it is a electroclinical syndrome. So that is defined as a childhood seizure, and this is classified based on the presence of awareness or the consciousness and the onset of the event. If the child was aware something abnormal is happening, we call this a focal or partial seizure. The child is aware that my hand is shifting, is jerking, or my head is turning, my eyes are turning. The child is able to give a part of the history. Then that is called as a focal epilepsy, indicating a lesion, a particular small lesion in the corresponding area of the brain. This is where I told the localization is important in the first slide. The second thing is general. The child is totally unaware. The child says he was going to school, suddenly I go to the hospital. How did I come to the hospital? I do not know. I just visited in class. When I woke up, everybody is crying around. So this is called as a generalized seizure, but the awareness is totally lost. Next slide. So when we differentiate, it gives a clue to the again as to the diagnosis, and the treatment for partial seizure and generalized seizure is different. The common types we come across are febrile seizures, partial seizures, simple, which is further classified into simple and complex, myoclonic seizures, absent seizures, and some important seizure syndromes. The International League Against Epilepsy is classifying epilepsy into more of seizure syndromes. Earlier we were classifying as focal, generalized, and generalized myoclonic, atonic, absence, like that. Now the latest classification, 2018 classification, they are grouping epilepsy into a constellation of signs with a particular prognosis, with a particular EEG finding and the imaging finding, with a particular drug for to treat, and grouping them as individual syndromes. Next slide. So the febrile seizures are common. This is also you'll be seeing in clinical pediatric neurology practice. A child comes, a 2-year-old child with fever and then having a seizure, one episode of seizure with the background history of fever, maybe 2 to 3 days. The association of fever and seizure, the possibilities are: one, it could be seen as infection, a short brief duration of fever, a herpes simplex infection, or a seizure would have been provoked with the temperature, high temperature, fever. And the third thing only is the simple febrile seizure. And the diagnosis of simple febrile seizure can be made by the age group, as I told, 6 months to 6 years, a single episode, a very brief duration, and it is a generalized epilepsy. It is not a focal, it is a generalized seizure, and the child has a rapid recovery, quick recovery. Provoke, the child has a, yes sir, thank you for asking the question. The child has a tendency to have seizure or epilepsy syndrome, some other epilepsy syndrome which is underlying, and this temperature has brought out, this fever has brought out that syndrome. So initially the first time it looked like a febrile seizure. We tend to reassure the parents, say it is an ordinary seizure, but it's actually an underlying syndrome. Now the first episode it is coming with fever. Commonly with immunization, they have fever and then this seizure comes. So it looks like a simple febrile seizure, but later on when we follow these children, repeatedly they come, they develop seizures even with a mild temperature or even without temperature, fever also. And then that evolves into a seizure syndrome. So just keep it in mind. It can be either seizure syndrome triggered. The temperature it triggers. It's a fever susceptibility. Seizure susceptibility brought about by temperature. Next slide. Now again, let's see whether it works. Just click on that. See, let us see whether we can make out something abnormal. This time, I think the quality is not so good. You see the child is happily smiling. And the most the pointer around the mouth and on the head you find a sudden jerk circuit. Excellent. Pitching, that is what we call as a myoclonus. It's a myoclonic seizure. This doesn't, it's not so dramatic like a generalized seizure falling down and then throwing seizure. That's it, a jerk. So that is enough. Correspondingly, if you do an EEG, there will be spine discharge. No sir, this is a sudden jerk itself is enough to qualify to solve it. That's all. There is no generalized seizure at all. This child continues to have jerks whenever the child reaches for object, jerks. Sudden jerk while eating. Particularly what was interesting is around the mouth. You see that mouth, perioral mouth. It's a perioral type of a myoclonus. It's a subtype. But basically it is a myoclonus, is a type of a seizure. Very brief. Next slide. This is also interesting. Just see.
That doesn't have myoclonus, doesn't have any organic pathology.
It can, madam. I'll show you down the line. This child was born to me. Just click on that. The pause button. You can click again on that. I'll just give it. It is a young child from school. The mother told the child is not attentive, daydreaming, and not responding to the question whenever is asked. The child looks up somewhere into the ceiling and does not answer the question which is asked. That's completely. Now to provoke or bring out this epilepsy, for me to witness, I ask the child to hyperventilate. Hyperventilation is a provoking maneuver. There are some methods wherein we trigger seizure, like photic stimulation or sleep deprivation, or the third one is hyperventilation. As I told you, to make a perfect diagnosis, we have to witness. For me to witness, I made him hyperventilate. So, Nithila, go to the previous slide. Go to the previous slide. Click on that. Yeah. Click on. Yeah. So he starts going into that. We can give him a roll of paper or a toy, which is goes on like a fan-like toy or a whistle. You can make children to cooperate and blow. That's a form of hyperventilation. During this process, you will find something abnormal. You see his eyes? Slowly sinking. His eye contact is gone. Now he stopped blowing, he takes his hand away, and then he continues. The event is hardly for 2 to 3 seconds, maximum. And now he's continuing his job. If it unfortunately happens when the teacher is asking a question, he is thinking that he is irritating the teacher. So this is a type of seizure called absence. So it is characterized by very brief, sudden onset, sudden recovery also. There is no confusion or after that the child doesn't look dazed and he continues his activity. So sudden pause in the activity, or maybe a blink or an upward gaze, and then rapid recovery. And then occurs several, the thing is it is crowded, it occurs several times in a day, 50 times, 100 times in a day. Mimic daydreaming, affect the school performance because he is not able to attend. And very good response to treatment, sir. One drug we give, we can completely recover the child's episodes, and that will cure this problem. Otherwise, the child will be sent to a psychiatrist.
It's a short-term administration, sir?
Yes, sir. It is usually maybe for 6 months or 1 year. It's an absence seizure. It comes under generalized epilepsy. As I told, seizure is classified as generalized old classification, generalized focal. Under the generalized epilepsy, we bring in absence, generalized tonic convulsions, generalized clonic convulsions, atonic seizure. So absence is one of the generalized epilepsy. Why we call it generalized? I don't have the EEG correlation. I just showed the video. If you take an EEG, the discharges will be on both sides of the brain. Complete. The lesion is in the starting from the thalamus, the central portion of the brain. From there, the projection goes to the cortex. So right side, left hemisphere, the entire brain is getting affected. That is why we classify it as a generalized epilepsy. Next slide. The other seizure, now you click on this. This is another type of a seizure, generalized epilepsy, wherein you see the head drop. Sudden, as somebody has put, this is called salam attack. This is another type of a myoclonic, called the epileptic spasm. Increased severe type of a myoclonic. The other child which had a small germ, this is an exaggerated form. This is also a generalized seizure. So some of the syndromes are West syndrome, Lennox-Gastaut, Landau-Kleffner, benign partial epilepsy, JME. If you are interested, I can talk, but it's a little bit vast. Next one. So this is, can you click here? This child was referred by sir, Bala sir. Can you click here? So this child had episodes of brief unresponsiveness, jerks. Now you can make a diagnosis now, looking into that. And the mouse finger, pointer. Okay. But it is on the opposite side, don't worry. You see the eye is fixed. Leave it. And you see the lips wagging. tonic deviation toward the left side associated with lip smacking. So this indicates complex partition with automatism. And the child had abnormal malformation in the brain, a corresponding MRI. There is agenesis of corpus callosum and neuronal migration defects, we call that. So the abnormal formation of the ventricles and the cortical gray matter is not fully developed. So that results in seizures.
Over a period of time,
This will be present from birth. Sir. This sort of the children have a little bit bad prognosis, bad prognosis, because the brain is abnormal from birth. It's difficult. What we can do is we can control the epilepsy part and give some sort of a rehabilitation. Difficult. Next slide. So again, we have finished almost the paroxysmal syndromes. The red flags in epilepsy are any child having more than one episode of seizure in a single day, then something wrong. It is not the usual simple febrile seizure. 2 episodes, 1 hour interval. Something serious. Either it is encephalitis which needs to be evaluated, or some, as I said, some sort of a epilepsy syndrome. Don't call that as a simple febrile seizure and reassure the parent. 2 episodes in a single day. And prolonged, what we call it as status, lasting for more than 15 minutes. An increased time to recover after the surgery. Absence, I told, very good prognosis. Immediately he recovers. He had a very brief stab and immediately has come back to normal. So that sort of recovery is not. The child is confused for a prolonged time. Then that is called as a prolonged confusion. It's again a red flag. Deficit following the seizure. This is what we call Torrance palsy. After the seizure, that indicates there is a structural lesion in the brain. Child has a focal seizure, and after the focal seizure, that particular portion which was seized has failed to function now. That's called Torrance palsy. We need to investigate further. And delay or regression. The child was initially doing well, now it is regressing. Then the family history of seizures. These all indicate epileptic syndromes. And not responding to the AEDs. Normally we start on anticonvulsants. The child is not recovering. Can anybody guess what would be the cause? Now we have made a diagnosis of seizure. We have ruled out all other causes. Some other abnormal syncope or other paroxysmal disorders mimicking seizure. And we made a diagnosis of seizure by means of an EEG. We have started on anticonvulsants, but the event continues to occur. Can anybody guess what is wrong?
Space of English.
Yes, madam. Something which means there is something we have missed. We need to have an imaging. So one thing. Second thing. Yes, madam. Excellent. Before that, so what she is telling you the correct dose of the drug, which is to be calculated based on the body weight of the baby. That's correct. Before that, everyone's gone through. No problem. I learn from you, you can discuss with me. The drug of choice was not correct. We have chosen the wrong drug. The drug which is meant for generalized seizure, we are not given for focal seizure. So that we have to inappropriate drug, inappropriate dose. That's what she is telling. And the diagnosis itself is wrong. As I told you, it's not seizure at all. It should be something else. In each group, like as I told you, in infancy, these are the causes, keep in mind. And in childhood, sometimes non-epileptic seizures, functional, hysterical, psychiatric causes can also mimic seizures. We have presented a paper also during my course in Stanley. Some children with psychological problem, they mimic seizures so beautifully. Even for an experienced doctor, it's difficult. They mimic a Jacksonian mark, even a Torrance palsy, even frothing, even urination, tongue bite, which are all the features of a convulsion disorder, which are all the features of true seizures. They are able to mimic and produce it to the physician. And anybody who is looking at it or recording it will see it is a form of seizure. And then start to put the child on anticonvulsant. Anticonvulsant will not work. And repeatedly the same thing will happen again and again. The best way to diagnose or confirm our mistake is what? The confirm our mistake. Excellent. That's the EEG. That EEG should be done when the event is happening. We call that the ictal EEG. Normally we do after the event has happened. Try to do it as immediately. So whenever you find a child with this sort of an abnormal behavior, a transient which you suspect of seizure, ask the parent to do the EEG immediately. Ideally during that event, that's difficult, but at least within 6 hours you have to do the EEG. To do the next 2 weeks, it's going to normalize. Next one. Next disorder is the developmental disorders. We break down development into gross motor, fine motor, language and social. Sometimes we have disorders which have global development delay. All the 4 parameters will be affected. Sometimes we have language delay called learning disabilities or social delay alone. That is what is called as the autism spectrum disorders. So certain areas of development alone can be more repressed. So every behavior or development has a neurological basis. The insult may be either due to a static insult, we call as which has happened around the birth time, perinatal, or a genetic injury or a vascular stroke. So there is a basis, neurological basis for this developmental problem. The real stress is to differentiate static insult to the ongoing insult. A child could have a metabolic problem which is going on and on, or a seizure which is unnoticed, and that is can cause an effect on the development. Next slide. A few words about attention deficit hyperactivity. It's very common in practice. We don't look into it. Child presents with 2 main sorts of groups of symptoms. One is a hyperactive symptom, another is an attention deficit symptom. Hyperactive symptom or child not able to sit in a place in the classroom, goes, runs around, climbs excessively, it is very difficult. Talkative, and he can't play in a proper way. These are all hyperactive symptoms. And attention symptoms are a child who is distracted, doesn't appear to listen, doesn't follow instructions, and keep losing things. These are the school child coming, mother coming with this sort of a complaint, bringing the diagnosis of ADHD. Very common. Next slide. Next is, as I told, the social problem. So this is called as the autism. This is spectrum again. One end we have a severe affected children, others are mild affected children. So we call this autism spectrum disorder. The problem, the crux of the problem is the social communication, the social reciprocation. There is no reciprocation. The child doesn't want to interact with the parents, teacher, friends or anybody. He spends more time with inanimate objects. There is no sharing of emotions, no eye contact. A deficit in using the body gestures. There is no pointing, he doesn't use his body. As I am talking, I am doing some gestures. No, he just stand like a rope and talk. So these are the clinical clues to become autism. And there is no friends. The behavior, the second thing is behavior problems. They have repetitive, routine, ritualized behavior, stereotyped behavior. And one parent told me he goes to the school in a particular route. One day that road was dug up and they chose another route, the child started having a temper tantrum. He needs that particular routine every day. So this is another clue to have autism. Repetitiveness, doing the same, they will play with a repetitive play. For example, having a skyboard here, coming down, running up, coming down, running up and sliding down, again running up, coming down. This they do without any boredom. Repetitive play. This is a clue to have the child may be suffering from autistic disorder. The imaginative play won't be there. The social interaction and playing with friends, imaginative play, social reciprocative play won't be there in autism. The routines, ritual, the same, that's what I do, the same route. And abnormal sensory perception will also be present. Next slide. So now click on this slide. This is a normal child with social. See where it is playing. See the grandmother, the mother. You see the good eye contact. He's turning, he's pointing. See these gestures? These are all the normal gestures which won't be present in a child with autism. Pointing is a very important milestone. There are different types of pointing, sir. Pointing to cause, pointing to communicate, pointing to share an emotion, pointing and asking, I want that. So these are the pointings that we are absent in autistic children. The child will say how he is pointing. See this I want. Pointing with the index finger. It's called photo-declarative pointing. If you have time, you can read in the Google. Next slide. So learning disabilities, you will be seeing many patients. The problem with acquiring, storing and retrieving information. Children with academic problems, 10% of them are having learning disabilities. There are different types of dyslexia, reading, phonological processing, dysgraphia or dyscalculia. Next slide. So, about the developmental disorders, here again we have red flags. So that we don't miss about serious conditions or progressive evolving conditions and then treating them as a routine physiotherapy or occupational therapy. The red flags are a combination of symptoms. A child who's having a learning problem with attention deficit with seizure. Then we can't send this child for occupational therapy or special school. We have to find the cause and then do imaging, EEG, evaluate and treat. A child who's having a personality problem, the family history, associated sensory issue like vision or hearing, we may be treating it as a learning disability. The child has difficulty in seeing the board or a hearing problem. Always evaluate the hearing and vision. Next one. The movement disorders, the next classification, we classify hyperkinetic, hypokinetic. Next slide. I just stress on only the interesting parts. So the cerebral palsy is the commonest cause of movement disorder, under movement disorder. This is because of a static insult which has happened in the perinatal period, and the presentation is predominantly motor, sometimes sensory, cognition, behavior, or a perception and difficulty in communication. Next one. So we have a child who's having a cerebral, you'll be seeing a lot of cerebral palsy children. They give even a history of abnormal perinatal period, not crying immediately after birth, and you make a diagnosis of cerebral palsy, you classify them, give a diagnosis. But there are again some conditions where we could be wrong. We have some other condition which we have been treating as a cerebral palsy. So what are the clues or the pointers? This is very, very important.